Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. This is a B1 level lesson on language arts, and today we're going to be talking about genres of language. So there are many different types of writing that we read, so just look at these pictures and then see if you can think of some answers to the questions. There's one vocabulary word before we start, purpose, which is a noun. It's the aim or reason for doing something. So, what types of writing can you think of? Give some examples. So here it looks like we have some travel books. This is maybe some fiction. This looks like a letter, a newspaper. And what is the purpose of each of these types of writing? Well, the first is to give information about these different locations. This is to entertain. This is to communicate with someone, and this is to inform people about the news. So, fiction or nonfiction? So, because there are so many different types of writing, it is common to put text into different groups. And one way of doing this is to divide between fiction and nonfiction. So, fiction is writing that is not based on real events or facts. It is created by the imagination of the writer. For example, a story for children about magic would be fiction. Nonfiction is writing that is based on real events or facts. For example, a newspaper report about an accident or a science report. So see if you could think of some other examples of fiction and nonfiction writing. All right, another way to group writing is by purpose. And so this lesson is going to cover 4 types of writing. The first is descriptive. This type of writing creates an image in the reader's mind. It includes how something looks, sounds, smells, tastes, or feels, and it can be either fiction or nonfiction. Narrative. Narrative writing is writing that tells a story. It aims to tell the story in a way that the reader can enjoy, and it can also be fiction or nonfiction. Persuasive writing is a type of nonfiction. Writers use strong reasons and language to make the reader think or do something. And expository, this type of writing gives information to the reader to help them better understand a topic. Expository writing is nonfiction. So which types of writing do you think the following texts are most likely to include? So a novel. Well, a novel would probably be descriptive and narrative. A travel guide could be either persuasive or expository. A newspaper could be descriptive, narrative, persuasive, expository, and a science report could be descriptive, persuasive, or expository. And see if you can think of other examples that you can think of for each type of writing. And which type of writing do you enjoy reading the most? Okay, so we're going to read the example of descriptive writing and then answer these questions. But before we start, we have some vocabulary words. Atmosphere, which is a noun, which means the mood or feeling in a place. Toddler, also a noun, is a very young child. And irritable is an adjective meaning easily annoyed. Now you can pause the video and read on your own or follow along as I read. That morning, the atmosphere was electric. I'd been jumping around the house full of nerves since the early hours. Now, like an overtired toddler, I was starting to become slightly irritable as 9 a.m. approached, then passed by. 9:01, 9:02. Each minute was the length of a year. Time was slowing down. No, it had stopped. I could feel my heart pounding through my shirt. This was the day, the big one, the only one that counted. Then suddenly, finally, certainly, there was a knock at the door. It was the mail carrier. Today my life was about to change. So, how does the writer feel? Well, it looks like they're nervous and excited, a little anxious maybe. And what is the writer waiting for? Well, it sounds like they were waiting for some sort of news. And what is going to happen next? Well, hopefully, we'll find out what the mail carrier brought and what the big news is. Okay, so the purpose of descriptive writing is to create a strong image of what something looks like, feels, sounds, smells, or tastes like. So see if you can explain the phrases in bold in your own words. So the atmosphere was electric. Think about what that might mean. Like an overtired toddler. And each minute was the length of a year. So the atmosphere was electric. Is probably meant to mean that the writer is feeling nervous, tense, maybe anxious. When electricity is in the air kind of crackles and it's not a calm, smooth feeling. So it's meant to suggest that there's all this nervous energy. An overtired toddler, well, when young children get tired, they sometimes get annoyed, angry. So she's comparing her feeling irritable with how overtired little children feel. And each minute was the length of a year. It just means that time seems to be passing very slowly. All right, now we're going to read an example of narrative writing and answer some questions. Again, you can pause the video and read on your own or follow along as I read. What happened? Asked Magnus. Well, for reasons no one understands, they decided to postpone the party, and it will now be sometime in the next few months, Datu replied. Magnus sighed. I'm so disappointed, he said. I've been waiting since last year to catch up with everyone. Yeah, neither Kate nor Jack have given a reason for the sudden change of date. It's frustrating. I'm not worried about the change of date, but I was looking forward to seeing some old friends again. Well, now I think it'll happen in May or June, but like I said, it hasn't been decided yet. Listen, I was heading out the door when you called, so I can't stay on the phone. I'll call you after baseball training because there's something else I want to discuss. I'll be working until 7 p.m., so call me anytime after 7:15, okay? So what has happened? Well, it seems like a party that these two boys were planning to go to has been postponed. And so how do Magnus and Datu feel about it? They're disappointed. And what's going to happen next? Well, hopefully we'll find out what they want to discuss when he calls back after 7:15. All right, so how was this text different from the descriptive text? Think about that for a moment. Well, the descriptive text was just one person kind of sharing the thoughts that were in their head. And here in the narrative, we have a conversation between two people, and there's a lot less description. We find out what's going on by listening to the conversation between the two people, the two speakers. All right, now this is an example of persuasive writing. So again, you can either pause the video and read this on your own or follow along as I read. To be quite honest, a world where books don't exist is not one in which I could live. It has been stated, reported, predicted, and claimed many times that books will disappear in the not too distant future. That's an idea that I find totally ridiculous. Stories are what make us human. The tales, the epics, and the sagas, the heroes and villains, the princes and princesses, the real and the imagined characters handed down through generations across civilizations. The issue is not that books are paper or in an electronic format. Who can seriously imagine a world without books? 275,000 titles were published last year in the United States alone. 2.2 million titles were published worldwide. They are simply not going anywhere. So, what topic is the writer writing about? Well, the idea that books may or may not go away. And what is the writer's opinion? Um, the writer believes that books are what make people human, and stories will always be with us in some form. And what reasons does the writer give for this opinion? Um, well, that there have been so many stories that are handed down through many generations across civilization. There have been 275,000 titles published last year in the US and over 2 million titles published worldwide. And I'm sorry, I forgot to do the vocabulary word first. Ridiculous is an adjective meaning very silly or unreasonable. All right, the purpose of persuasive writing is to make the reader agree with an opinion or do a particular action. So, why do you think the writer uses four verbs stated, reported, predicted, and claimed instead of one? Well, one thought might be that he wants to show there have been many people expressing opinions about books, and that this is a subject that has been well studied and well discussed in the past. And what question does the writer ask the reader, and why does he do it? So here he asks, who can seriously imagine a world without books? And he asks that question to get the reader to think about his point of view and to help persuade them to his point of view that books are not going away. And what numbers does the writer use in the text and why? Well, he uses 275,000 and 2.2 million to show that books are a very big part of our society, both in the United States and worldwide. And in what other ways does the writer try to affect how the reader thinks? Um, well, he talks about this is an idea that is ridiculous. He names all different kinds of stories, hoping maybe to connect with the reader, because different people like different forms of stories. He also talks about paper and electronic, again, to maybe make that connection with different readers. Right? This is an example of expository writing, and we have two vocabulary words. Significant is an adjective that means large and important, and conduct is a verb meaning to do or to perform. The internet has changed the world in many ways. One of the most significant changes has been seen in the way in which communication is conducted. Before the internet, letters or phone calls had to be used to talk to someone who lived far away. Now, with the internet, people can speak to others anywhere in the world by using video chat or instant messaging. Photos and videos can also be shared with friends and family, no matter where they live. Another way in which the internet has changed the world is through the accessibility of information. Any topic can now be searched for, and information about it can be found by using a search engine. Libraries and teachers no longer have to be visited or asked for information. News from all over the world can also be read, and different cultures and countries can be learned about. So, what is the main point of the text? Well, the main point is that the internet has changed the world in many ways. And what examples of this does the writer give? Um, well, he talks about how letters and phone calls used to be the way to speak with someone. Now we use video chat and instant messaging. Um, and it's also made information more accessible. Um, and people can get news from all over the world. Okay, the purpose of expository writing is to present information in a clear, neutral way with facts and not opinions. So, how many times are the pronouns I or we used in this expository writing, and why do you think this is? So, we're going to be looking for I and we. All right, so the pronouns I and we are not used at all in this expository writing, and this is probably because the writer is trying to make this apply to, all types of people. He doesn't want it to seem like it's just his opinion. It's a statement of facts, and so using I or we would suggest that the person is just writing about their own personal experience or personal opinion. And how many examples of powerful or emotive language can you find? I'll take a few moments and look for that. So again, there's not a lot of emotion in this. It's just a clear, neutral statement of facts. And how would the text be different if it were written as a persuasive writing? Well, in a persuasive writing, the writer would probably talk about his or her own opinion as to whether the changes brought by the internet are good or bad, positive or negative. Um, in persuasive writing, the writer will take a position and then try to defend that position rather than just presenting information. All right, so we're going to do a practice test, and you'll read this and then decide whether it is descriptive, narrative, persuasive, or expository, and then try to explain your answers with examples from the text. Again, you can pause the video, read on your own, or follow along as I read. There's a vocabulary word, exaggeration, which is a noun. It's a statement that represents information as better or worse than it really is. We live in an age where social media dominates our lives. It has become an integral part of our daily routine, a constant companion that we turn to for entertainment, information, and connection. But as we stand here today, I ask you, at what cost? Has social media truly made our lives better, or has it made society worse? The truth is, social media has made us more disconnected than ever. We are so busy scrolling through our feeds, we fail to truly engage with the people around us. We are more isolated than we have ever been, and we are losing our ability to communicate face to face. This is not an exaggeration, it is a fact. Studies have shown that social media use is directly linked to increased feelings of loneliness and depression. But it's not just our emotional well being that is at risk. Social media has also made us more polarized, more divisive. We are so busy shouting our opinions into the void that we have stopped listening to each other. We are more likely to surround ourselves with people who think and look like us. We are more likely to ignore the perspectives and experiences of others. We have become a society that is more divided than united. So now, write down your answers about whether you think this is descriptive, narrative, persuasive, or expository, and then use some examples to explain your answer. Right? Practice. This is practice 2. Again, you'll do the same thing. Read this through, and then decide whether it's descriptive, narrative, persuasive, or expository, and explain your answer. We have some vocabulary words. Grandeur is a noun, meaning the quality of looking great and impressive. Soar is a verb, which means to fly high. Wrinkles, a noun, which means thin lines, sorry. And scent is a noun, which means a smell. Again, you can pause the video, read on your own, or follow along as I read. The Bodleian Library in Oxford is a place of history and grandeur. The moment you step through its ancient doors, you are transported to a different era. The ceilings soar high above, the echoes of footsteps and hushed voices like a symphony in the grand halls. The shelves are lined with rows upon rows of leather-bound books, their covers worn with age and use, like the wrinkles on an old man's face, telling the stories of centuries past. The musty scent of old paper and ink fills the air, a reminder of the knowledge and wisdom that has been stored within these walls for centuries. All right, we have a third practice text. Again, we'll read through this and you'll decide which type of writing that it is. Reading is a valuable activity for individuals of all ages. The benefits of reading have been extensively researched and documented, providing evidence for the positive effects it can have on individuals. One of the most notable benefits of reading is the improvement of cognitive function. It has been found that regular reading can lead to increased brain connectivity, resulting in improved memory and concentration. Additionally, reading has been linked to the reduction of stress and the improvement of mental well-being. The act of reading has been found to be a powerful tool for managing anxiety and depression. Reading also plays an important role in the development of language and literacy skills. The acquisition of new vocabulary and the exposure to different sentence structures are some of the benefits that can be obtained through reading. Furthermore, reading has been linked to the development of critical thinking skills, providing individuals with the ability to analyze and interpret information. And the next text, again, is this descriptive, narrative, persuasive, or expository. No, wait, not tonight. Tonight's family night, I explained slowly. Family night? What's that? You already have a family. Every night is family night, Maurice laughed on the phone. I know, I continued, but Sammy and I agreed to spend at least one night per week with the kids. What, doing family stuff? Ha. Yeah, I'm serious. We're all so busy that it's impossible for us to spend time together unless it's in the calendar. So anyway, tonight's family night. Bad action movies, even worse food, but good together time. So I guess we'll make it another time, Maurice sighed. Are you free on the weekend? Yeah, I should be, I replied. I'll text you tomorrow. Be sure you do. Right, gotta go, man. Let's speak later. Bye, Maurice, I said, hanging up the phone. All right, so let's go back and kind of talk about your possible answers. So this first one is probably, I would say, persuasive. And some of the things that you might have used to support that answer, there's a lot of use of we and I, so a lot of personalizing. A lot of it is the writer's opinion. In his opinion, social media has made us more disconnected, um, losing our ability to communicate face to face, and talking about just how social media has made us polarized and more divisive, but doesn't really provide any evidence, fact-based evidence of that. It's just this writer's opinion. So this, I believe, is a persuasive text. The second one, this one is descriptive, because it talks about, it uses very descriptive terms: grandeur, the ancient doors, um, the ceilings soar high above, hushed voices like a symphony in the grand halls, um, rows upon rows of leather-bound books, covers worn, wrinkles, the musty scent. So all of these words are describing this space. So this would be an example of descriptive writing. Uh, Next, this one would be expository, because it starts with a simple statement: reading is a valuable activity for individuals of all ages, and says that the benefits of reading have been researched and documented. Um, so the writer is telling us this is not just her opinion or his opinion, and then gives examples of how reading is valuable: improves cognitive function, memory, concentration, reduce stress, mental improvement of mental well-being, um, and also the role that it plays in the development of language and literacy. So just a lot of different facts. It's neutral, so this would be expository. And finally, this one is narrative. So we have two characters having a conversation, um, kind of telling a story, not really trying to persuade us one way or the other to believe anything, not presenting a lot of facts. It's just, using the narration, the conversation, to tell the story of these two characters. All right, so think about what we've discussed in this lesson, and for each of the four types of writing, you want to discuss the questions. So what is the purpose of this type of writing? So descriptive writing is obviously to describe a place or an action. Narrative writing, the purpose is to tell a story. Persuasive writing is to get the reader to accept the writer's point of view. And expository writing is meant to inform and give facts about a topic. The common features of each type of writing: well, descriptive writing uses a lot of adjectives and colorful language. Narrative writing often uses conversation, quotations, conversation between one or two or more characters. Persuasive uses a lot of I and we statements, and expository tends to be fairly neutral and fact-based. And so you can think about how of these, each type of writing is different from the others. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share. If you have any questions, leave those for me in the comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.